I'm trying to give y'all Valentine's, okay? I filmed this already and the dress was a little bit much. It was a little bit much, but I will link it down below. It's from House of CB, and essentially I'm just trying to give you guys spirit, okay? Give you guys spirit for what we're about to talk about today, which is the latest release from Tom Ford. I managed to pick up one of the fragrances from a Tom Ford line. Yeah, everybody faint in unison. Yeah, because I wasn't expecting it either, not at all. But anyway, let's get into the video. So today's video will be a first impression on a new fragrance that I picked up, of course. So if that's something that you're interested in watching, go ahead and subscribe to my channel by hitting that button down below. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. My @ is @jperfumelife. I'll link it down below as well. And without any further ado, let's get into it. So I just want to let you know that this happens. This happened. If you guys keep up with my channel, you guys know that I'm not a big Tom Ford fragrance fan. The fragrances just don't work on me. I don't have anything against the house or the fragrance. It typically doesn't work on me. So imagine my surprise when I smelled something and fell head over heels for it. Like, I'm stunned, okay? The YouTuber is shocked, okay? So let's actually just get into what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about one of the fragrances from the new Private Garden collection line from Tom Ford. This is literally just launched, I believe, yesterday or the day before, and I was in Selfridges when it launched, managed to sniff them and get my hands on one of them. So what I'll do is I'll talk about the two that I haven't got. I didn't pick up, there's 3 in the collection, so I didn't pick up the first 2, and then we'll get into my first impressions on the one that I did get. Tom Ford has released a Private Rose Garden collection. I believe this is not limited edition. At least I haven't seen anywhere that it is limited edition. So hopefully that means it will stick around for a while, because these are some very, very, very good fragrances. So there's 3 in the line, and they're all inspired by Tom Ford's travels to different regions. Now the first one is Rose de Chine, not sure how you say that, but this is inspired by his travels to China. Now this one had a very, very, very thick, sharp dose of peony, which I'm not the biggest fan of. So there is peony directly in the top, and there's definitely elements of rose, but not the biggest floral peony lover myself, which is why this one didn't work on me. In the notes breakdown, you can see that it says it has labdanum and myrrh in the dry down. Now on my skin, I wasn't getting that spicy effect, but on paper I could smell where it would be spicy. So I think this one is definitely one that might skew very differently on different body chemistry. On me, I was getting a very like clean white musk kind of dry down, but I could definitely smell it on paper. So really, I think this is one that you'd have to go in and test out, and if you're a fan of peony, then you might really enjoy this. So the second one was one that actually came very, very close to being in my collection, and that's Rose de Russie. Now this one is inspired by his travels to Russia, and this is a very impressive fragrance, not only because of the bottle. I wanted like the pink juice, but it smells really, really well done, and to my surprise it actually worked on my skin. So the main accords for this are rose, woody, floral, and leather. What I was picking up was a very smoky rose with some underlying leather notes, and a very deep leather as well, a very authentic leather note that kind of does smell like real leather, if that makes sense, versus sometimes when leather is added to a formulation and it just adds the silkiness and the smoothness to fragrance. This one actually smelled like leather. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So in the notes for breakdown, you've got white pepper in the top, then you've got rose in the mid, and you've got woody notes and leather in the base. I picked up something very smoky. It kind of smelled like almost cigarette ash with the rose, like you dip the rose into a cigarette ashtray, picked it up and then kind of like wrapped some leather around it. And I know that might not sound like the best description, but really it was just such a interesting fragrance. I feel like this is the one that's closest to the Tom Ford presence, integrity, sex appeal. You know, when you go to a Tom Ford house or you're trying to get something that's Tom Ford and you want the attitude of Tom Ford, I feel like this is the one that kind of encapsulates that. So I'm still thinking about it. I might maybe pick it up towards the end of the year. It felt as if it would work better on me in much colder conditions, and now that we're moving towards spring, it just doesn't really make sense. This is also the one that I feel like would be the most appropriate for men too, because those leather woody notes with that rose, it's a very bold rose at that. It's definitely one that has presence. I think would work really well on a man's body chemistry. So if you're interested, I feel like that is definitely one to get your nose on as well. Might pick it up in the future, who knows, but didn't pick it up today. And the last one that I did pick up is called Rose d'Amalfi, and this is inspired by Tom Ford's travels to the Amalfi Coast in Italy, I believe. So this is classified as a floral fruity fragrance for women and men. I don't know about the fruity part, okay? But before we get into the whole description, let me just actually show you guys the packaging. So I picked this up from Selfridges. It's currently available on Selfridges and Harvey Nichols at this present moment in time. I just wanted to show you guys a really cute bag because this is the presentation that it came in. Also, these fragrances have accompanying lipstick. So for all you makeup lovers out there, the lipsticks are actually quite nice. So if you're interested, I definitely would recommend picking them up. Actually, I might go back and pick them up. So this is the traditional Tom Ford bag. Now let me just show you guys what it actually looks like. Obviously, I've done the opening of this and I did it on my Instagram. So make sure you check me out there because I got to see this hot off the press. But this is what it looks like in its encasement. Now it does come in the traditional vertical stand-up kind of presentation that Tom Ford fragrances come in, which I actually appreciate because it's quite easy to maneuver if you want to like travel with the box. The box is also quite heavy. It's good cardboard, basically. It's good paper. Okay, so I'm glad that they definitely paid attention to the detail in that respect. And I really like the stand. Something about the lilac and the black going with everything else is really giving me vibes, so much so that I think I might stand it like this in my room because I just quite like this. It's really nice as a little perch. Now this bottle I think is quite different from traditional ones in his lineup in the sense that it's the clear glass. I don't think he's done that a lot. I know there's other colored glass bottles in the lineup, but this is the first time I'm seeing a clear glass. I think anyway, long story short, this is my thing. This is definitely my aesthetic. I love a clear glass presentation. It just looks so chic, and I really do enjoy the black cap too. Now what I would say is, and this is always my criticism with Tom Ford, is that the detail could use just a little bit more. So like the weight of this isn't substantial enough for the price point. So I feel like if they could just weight this a little bit more, it would definitely give it that presence, that oomph that will make you feel good, because there's no reason for this to be this light. You know what I'm saying? For the amount that you pay for it, there's no reason for that. So either making this magnetic or like just making this a little bit heavier, I think will just satisfy my needs anyway. But this is the bottle presentation. It is 50 ml. It's an eau de parfum concentration, and that's what, 1.7 fluid ounces. So I'm always really cautious about spraying certain fragrances directly onto delicate clothing like I have today. So I think I'm just going to go straight onto skin, because sometimes you just don't know what the oil is going to do. But I'll show you what the mister's like. It's not the best mister, but it's better than others that I've seen. This is a good one. This is a good one. So this retails for 178 pounds here in the UK. 178, 179, something like that, which I believe is a little bit lower than the traditional price point for Tom Ford fragrance. Not sure why that is. I'm not mad at it at all, so I'm quite happy about that. But who knows, maybe they'll introduce more that are at the lower price points, which I think will be a really good move on their part, just to introduce a lot more people into the line, because that £200 price mark can be quite intimidating for a lot of people who want to get into the house. So this price point works really well for this fragrance, I think. Okay, so I've already sprayed it, but I want to spray it again because this is such a good fragrance. It's so good. Okay, so my description of this, okay, it's described as a fruity floral. It does have some very gorgeous fruity elements in the top, and you guys know I love a fruity opening, but that's not what I get immediately. Immediately what I get is something very powdery, almost like a violet note. It could be iris, but it doesn't smell distinctly like iris, but there could be layers of iris in there, but it's quite powdery. Now this is the powdery that could translate as a baby powder kind of powdery. However, this is the most elegant execution of a baby powder note that I have ever smelt. Okay, so it's not synthetic leaning at all. It's so beautifully done. And also, if it is violet that's in here, it's not sharp either. It's not too stark as a violet note or powdery note. It's just done so well, so well. I'm also picking up something that smells like vanilla, so it has some very soft sweet nuances. Then those fruits come in as well, so there's something quite uplifting in the top. Don't know what the fruits are because the blend is beautiful, but whatever the fruits are, they're giving, okay? They're sweet, they're uplifting, and they complement the softness of this fragrance so very, very, very well. Now in the dry down, because I did test this yesterday, in the dry down, what I get is something that's a little musky, like an amber kind of musk. Maybe there's even some cashmere wood, cashmere, and something to make it velvety and soft and smooth in the dry down, with the vanilla once again, with something that's a little spicy, but it's not appearing too crazy on my skin. I don't know what that is. And then this just smooth, moreish texture that makes this so addictive as a fragrance. I could not stop smelling myself yesterday. I could not. Literally, this was me every 5 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, that smells amazing. So freaking good. So with that being said, I absolutely adore this. This is a love at first sniff. I feel like I'm always on the chase for a fragrance that's a love at first sniff, and this gave me that, but I wasn't expecting it at all. So let's go ahead and see what Fragrantica has to say about this fragrance. Right, so new fragrance, Rose d'Amalfi, was launched this year, of course. Top notes are pink pepper, Indian mandarin, bergamot. Okay. In the mid you have rose, and then in the base you have almond and heliotrope. It's the almond. The almond isn't even like, it doesn't smell like almond, because I usually don't get along with almond notes. This just kind of smells like something really creamy and yummy and moreish in the base that makes this kind of edible, but not gourmand, but just very addictive. This is such a good fragrance. Oh my gosh. It's not mentioning any kind of vanilla notes, but I feel like there's vanilla in here. There's definitely heliotrope, which does smell like vanilla, but this is not annoying me. Sometimes I don't get along with heliotrope notes, but in here it works. It kind of makes it fuller and denser and thicker as a fragrance, just so that it's not too light on the skin where it disappears and things like that. This is so good. So like I mentioned, all the fragrances in this line have a rose presence. The rose in here is a very delicate rose. Think of your Delina fragrances, how delicate that rose is, that it's just, but it's so pretty. It's very refined, it's very elegant, it's very pretty. I kind of feel like there's different layers of rose in here, like different types of rose that are like layered up to give it that presence, but it's not too much. I actually don't even know if you'd know straight away that there was a rose note in here. I think you'd pick up something floral, but you wouldn't go, oh my gosh, it's a rose fragrance, because it's quite demure in that respect. So if you don't like rose too tough as a note, I think you'll still get along with this, because it's just hints of rose. It doesn't come off too bold. So well done, so well done. Okay, beautiful. I'm looking at the section where it says this fragrance reminds me of on Fragrantica, and I'm not familiar with the majority of these fragrances, so I can't comment on them. But the one that has the highest votes is Rose Cherie from Guerlain. So if you have that one, there's a good chance you probably know what this smells like. Either way, I heard they're both beautiful either way, so I don't think you're going to go wrong with this at all. Now, in terms of the performance, this is only day 2 of me having it, and I know a lot of people are very nervous about Tom Ford fragrances when it comes to the performance, because I think the last few ones haven't been performing very well, or at least a lot of people have had not the best experience with the performance of the last few fragrances that have come out. I have to tell you, this one is a heavy hitter. This is a heavy hitter. Considering the profile that it is as a fragrance, it should not be working this well. You know what I mean? Like, the soft powdery fragrances don't tend to have really good projection. They don't tend to have really good longevity, just because of the nature of how delicate they are. But this is that really soft, feminine, delicate kind of fragrance with the performance. Now, I do lotion and I do kind of condition my skin quite a lot, so maybe it's the moisture that was allowing it to just kind of hold on to something. But I think even if you don't do that as much, you're still going to get very, very good performance with this. This also has really, really good sillage. So I'm at home a lot of the time, and essentially because there's no wind, there's no environment to kind of like move the air around, sometimes it's hard for me to smell myself. But I noticed that every time I got up to go to a different room in the house, I could smell myself, because this was just following me along. The sillage on this is so good. Performance wise, I think this is a 10 out of 10. I would give it a 12, but what's the point? It's a 10 out of 10 so far anyway. I mean, I've had very, very good performance with this. thus far, so I do think it's worth the price point in that respect, because I know it could be quite a bummer to spend a lot of money on something that doesn't perform very well, at least not immediately. But I'm not getting that from this. I'm getting very, very good projection. Now, the only thing I would say in terms of a watch out if you are considering buying this is that it's very powdery. It's a very powdery fragrance. If you don't get along with powdery fragrances at all, this is not for you. But there's definitely the other two in the line that I think are really, really good. I love soft, powdery, almost ambrette musky kind of fragrances, so this is right up my street for sure. That's why I was kind of confused by the profile breakdown saying it's a fruity floral. I don't know, to me it doesn't really sit as fruity, but other people might experience something very different from me. Anyway, all in all, they've knocked it out the park for me. They have knocked it out of the park. I think this is definitely one to get your nose on, regardless of whether you're into Tom Ford fragrances or not. I feel like this is something that a lot of people are going to get along with. They're going to like. I don't know if I would tell you to blind buy a fragrance that's £179, but I'm in love with this. Absolutely in love with this. So if you like Oriana from PDM, if you like Moncler Parfum, I'm trying to think, no, Tiffany's isn't as powdery as this, but if you like your powdery soft fragrances, I think you're really, really, really gonna enjoy this. So I would highly recommend getting your nose down to the Selfridges or wherever you can. There is also a gift set, I believe, on the Selfridges website that has all three of them, like the travel sizes of these fragrances. I think it's like 120, 130 pounds, something like that, but it is cheaper than getting a full size if you want to smell all three and you're not able to go in and sniff them in store. Love this, love this. Nailed it, knocked it out of the park for me, absolutely. All right, you guys, so we've come to the end of the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Let me know if you're interested in picking up any of the fragrances from this collection, or actually tell me what is your favorite Tom Ford fragrance. Leave that in the comment section down below, because maybe now I can go back to Tom Ford and try some of the other ones where I may have been missing the magic. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you can. It's at J's Perfume Life. Hopefully you're doing well wherever you are, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.